In today's edition of Green Chili Chisme, we sit down with singer-songwriter Bridgette London, whose journey began in hardship and bloomed into musical freedom. From learning what the world needs now on Jerry Lewis telethons to finding salvation in Waylon Jennings, Bridgette's story is one of grit, grace, and groove. We talk influences, Heart, Willie, Etta, Stevie Ray, and shout-outs to Jack Pledge and Eddie Perez of the Mavericks, who helped shape her sound. She shares her move from Nashville to Texas, the healing that followed, and an invite to her Angels and Outlaws Festival in March of 2026. This one's layered. Let's dive in. Bridgette London, hi, and welcome to Green Chili Chisme. Where are we finding you at right now?
Well, hello, and thank you so much for having me. I am coming to you from Pensacola, Florida, soon to be Pensacola Beach here in a couple days.
Oh.
Here for the Pensacola Beach Songwriter Festival.
Nice. Songwriter Festival. I wish I could attend those things. I'm just so far away here. Let me see. Let's start from where did you grow up at, and what was the kind of house that you grew up in, and tell us about your parents.
Well, that's a whole story in itself. I'll try and give you the short version.
Okay.
I grew up in Wisconsin, the land of Green Bay Packers and cheese.
Yep.
I grew up in kind of an unusual situation. It was a very abusive household on both ends, and with my mother and father, and pretty extreme circumstances. I probably don't want to go into on the phone or on the podcast too much, but by music was the way that I survived, and by the time that I was able to talk, I was singing, and I was using music like as an escape from what I was experiencing. And so by the time I was 11, I'd already had, was playing gigs for money, like weddings and different things.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I was 14, I went out on my own. I was still in high school, but I lived with 20-year-olds and worked a job, and worked in a bar, even though I was 11, in a restaurant.
Wow.
And then I started playing in bands, and I graduated early from high school and went to Nashville to become a star. In my mind, that's what I wanted at that early age, because I thought maybe somehow that would kind of show I was worth something, I think,
Right.
And music was my life. And of course, over the years, I understood what the most important thing about music is, and fame and all that doesn't mean anything,
Right.
So, but that's kind of to sum it up. So I started playing in bands really young, and then I got involved with some managers at a very early age, starting at 17.
Wow.
And had some deals from publishing and with record companies and various things that led me to become an advocate early on for independent music because of what I experienced, especially as a young woman. If you could call me a woman at that age, even.
Right.
Especially as a young woman in the business. So at 24, I went back to Wisconsin for a short stint, and I formed an independent record label back in 1994, which at the time was kind of unheard of. Especially, there was nobody doing it in Wisconsin. And after my first deal in Nashville went south, and formed my own label and went from there. And that's where kind of in between my own career, I started also on the mission of advocacy for independent artists,
Wow, that's an extraordinary beginning. My gosh. So how did you pick up the guitar at such an early age, or musically, where did that come from?
So I have three older sisters.
Okay.
They all left home early as well.
Right.
But one of them, they were like 10, 12, and 14 years older than me. But one of them was still home when I was like 4. And she had a guitar, my sister Lori. And she never played it. And it was there. And I was watching the Jerry Lewis telethon, which people might not remember that, but you might.
I remember.
And he had that song, "What the World Needs Now
Mm-hmm.
Is Love, Sweet Love." And I picked it out on the guitar, and that was it. I
Wow.
started playing and writing songs. I was obsessed. Yeah, I was obsessed. You know,
That's
I
pretty.
get what's called, I think, an ADHD hyper focus. You
Yeah.
know, so when I get hyper focused on something, um, I lock in, and you know, when I was young, I wanted to be, you know, a guitar goddess. You know, I used
Right.
to get Guitar Player magazine and all that. I wanted to be, and I've never been. You know, I play all right, but I'm not. You know, I'm not one of your better guitar players. I get the job done, but it was a love. You know, definitely a love. And Waylon Jennings was, oh, my saving grace and a hero to me. And I loved all kinds of music. I mean, I sang everything from, you know, heart and, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
blues to you name it. But Waylon spoke to me. So what happened later on in my career was like a godsend when I met Richie Albright and all that. You know, I don't know if you know about all that, but
No, we'll get there.
yeah.
um, that's. I was gonna say who were your early music influences, but obviously that was one. What the world needs now. But who were some of your other musical influences growing up?
Oh, so many. Heart really spoke to me. I would
Mm-hmm.
listen to those cassette tapes over and over again. They never left me. You know, I was always listening to Dreamboat Annie. I mean, over and over. Heart and Stevie Nicks and Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and Hank Williams, and um, you know, those were when I was real young. And then as I got older, um, you know, I would get influenced by artists I would see play live. You know, so many: Etta James, Stevie
Mm.
Ray Vaughan, um, you know, Patty Loveless. Oh, I love Patty Loveless for, as a
Yeah.
vocalist. You know, different ones for different reasons. You
Right.
know, like Stevie Ray because I love the guitar and his passion, and Etta for her voice.
Mm.
And then there were the songwriters like Garth Clark and, you know, Townes Van Zandt, all that. You know.
Yeah. It's. I understand about the when you were saying you were hooked. I always was like a air drummer, and then in the '80s, I actually learned how to play drums, and while I was in the military. So I self-taught on drums, so I know how to play drums. And then when Michael and I got together and created the company, we started making music. He didn't write songs too well, but he could compose the heck out of them. But I could write the songs and couldn't play any music. And so I had to step up my game. As he got better writing songs, I had to step up my game and learn the guitar. And that's why I'm playing. I've only been playing for like maybe 6 years, maybe. Um, but
Awesome.
but what you're talking about is, I mean, like you're talking about heart, and a lot of these songs that we're talking about, I grew up with, and when I play them for the first time, or when I play them correctly, I say, let's say, when you get it correct for the first time, it's such an emotional rush to be like, I'm actually playing this song that I've loved for 30 years. And now I play, Iron Maiden and Neil Young, and I can I
Right
can
on. Yeah.
I can get it a little bit now. But it's helped my songwriting, and that's what it was all intended to do. And now I'm obsessed with it. I can't, I'm every in between waiting, I'm sitting here playing. I was learning Blackberry Smoke, One Horse Town, which I think I got down pretty well now. But yeah, it's so fun learning, and I'm learning new chords every day. I like learn new chords every day. It's just it blows my mind. Anyways, sorry I didn't mean to get out, but I just wanted to relate to
No,
you
I
what you were
think
saying.
that's great. And I think that, you know, if anybody listening that loves music but doesn't play, maybe it'll inspire them because there is nothing like it in the world.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you do it a long time, you can get into autopilot, and sometimes the business aspect of things can take away some of the passion for a time. And to get back into that space where you remember that thrill, and I mean, it's better than any drug. It really is.
Oh, and I can't imagine what you guys on stage feel. I'm just here in my living room doing it, or in my bedroom playing it, and you guys on stage with people watching you. It's a whole nother thing. And anyways,
When you can connect with another person, yeah, I mean, being on stage is great, but even if you're just in a room playing, when you can really connect with somebody who's listening and you have that exchange, it is so much more valuable than standing on a stage in front of thousands of people. And I enjoy that. There's nothing wrong with that. I love that. That's awesome. And you can feel a connection in that way too, but intimacy in a listening room, or just hanging out with somebody and playing, or even hanging out with another musician and playing, or playing for somebody who loves it and is feeling it, that kind of connection is truly the biggest gift. And if you're open to receiving it, it can just really do more for you than anything else.
well,
Really.
I was talking with Jack last week. Jack Pledge. He said hello back then, by the way. Um,
Hey, Jen.
and we were. I had to tell this story to you because it relates exactly to what you're saying. So our band, Michael Guerra and the Knights Calling. Michael was in the Mavericks for a long time, and so we would open for the Mavericks when they were there in Texas and stuff. And we opened for them playing the Granada Theater in Dallas, and but out in the crowd, filming, taking pictures, and doing that stuff, and the band pulled out this song that we've never played live, and that I didn't even know they were going to play, that I wrote, Michael composed, and from the beginning, and I was videoing at the time, so I have this on video. They played it, they started playing, and usually when you play songs nobody's ever heard before, hopefully you'll get some attention, but we had their attention all the way, the whole song. Nobody was talking, they were all listening. And then when the song ended, it was just, and I'm in the crowd, and there was tears coming down my face because, like, I wrote that, and these people have never heard that, and they're giving that much love to it. It was just something really, really special, and that's probably the closest I'll get to being on the stage.
Do you know Eddie Perez?
Oh
Who's
yeah, of
in
course,
Mavericks?
yeah.
Yeah, Eddie is an old friend, and he co-produced one of my albums, and played on it, of course. And he used to play in my band years
Oh,
ago.
okay, yeah. He actually played on our last album. We had a few other
Awesome.
people.
He's one of the best guitar players out there.
Oh my God, he's such a great guy, and it's so sad to hear about what Raul's going through right now. And
Absolutely.
I've seen
Send
Eddie
some
has
love and
been.
prayers out to the Mavericks.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, yeah. He's usually not very social, social media wise. He's not out there, and he has been heavy
Hmm.
posting now with Raul sick. So yeah, God bless to
Yeah.
Raul. Much love to him and his family. Our company, we had a YouTube show that ran for 3 seasons, called Slate Me, and it was hosted by a 14-year-old girl. I was the one behind it, and she was the personality. And people would freak out because I would get, Academy Award winners and Grammy Award winners and all these high-profile people that this 14-year-old girl was asking questions because I wrote all the questions for her and everything. And people were just freaking out. How is this girl getting these people? Anyways, but Eddie,
I love it.
our season 2 finale was Dave Hardberger, who was a cinematographer for Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, Star Trek, um, and the Mavericks. The Mavericks. We went down to Texas. We went down and filmed them live, and did a live interview with her and Eddie and Raul in the green room, for our show. And it was just, and I had the whole, we filmed the whole show, so I had that whole show filmed. That's not out there. Just some of it's out there on YouTube, but the whole show isn't out there. So yeah, that was they are such cool cats, those two. And I got to tell you this story. The first time I met Raul, I'm sorry, this isn't even about, this should be about you, but this all relates, and we're talking about
No, I'm
Raul.
enjoying this. This is good.
Raul
Yeah.
Malo is such a beautiful man. And so the first time we met, they were doing a PBS music extravaganza in San Antonio. And Michael, there was like 6 bands maybe, and Michael played in like four of the bands, different instruments, accordion, guitar, guitarón, and another one, and so just different stuff. And so like a week later, Michael and I lived together, and a week later, Raul calls him on the phone, which how he got his number, we have no idea. But he's like, hey man, I'm here in San Antonio, and I'm gonna play at the church. You wanna come down and play? And Mike's all freaking out, and like, well, it's Raul. I'm like, well, tell him yes. And he's like, well, who's playing? He's like, just you and me. And Michael was like, what? And so that was our first meeting. We went down to the church down in Southtown and smoked a joint with Raul on the side of a church. That was our meeting, and that was back in 2000. That was before the Mavericks were reformed. So Raul was still on solo. 2009 maybe 2010. So that's how long we've been associated with those cats, and
yeah,
they're just such great people.
Yeah, because it wasn't long after Eddie recorded with me on that. It was the Untraveled Road album he co-produced, and he'd been playing with me in a band, and then he Billy Joe Shaver, I always tease Billy Joe about this. He stole my band. He had called. He's like, I need to take these guys on tour. Something happened with this band, and I'm like, what am I going to say? The world's greatest songwriter? No.
Yeah.
So Eddie went and played with him, and then it was, and then when we were in the studio recording, some of the guys that ended up being in the Mavericks came by when we were doing my album there. And we're talking to Eddie, so that was like the beginning right there, and that wasn't long after that. He went on the road. Well, he went on the road with Dwight Yoakam.
Yeah, he was with Dwight.
He played with Dwight for a while, but man, his playing, oh God, his playing, just like Raul's singing. I mean, that whole group is just, all of them are so talented. So we hope Raul comes out of this and will be singing for us soon.
Yeah. So let's get back on the road here. I'm sorry. We talked about your musical influences. What about film? Did you enjoy any film, or did you do music videos for any of your stuff?
No, the only thing I did in film is I did some extra work when I was like 18. I lived in Vegas for a short stint.
Uh-huh.
I kind of traveled around a bit from Nashville, and when I was dealing with all these different so-called record deals and
right.
all that stuff that was going on. I ended up in California and Vegas and Memphis. I was all over the place, and just kind of lost and trying to find my way, determined to do something with my music, and then eventually I ended up after I released my first record independently in Wisconsin, and we did the 72 county tour of the state, and it was really kind of groundbreaking at the time, and did all this stuff. Then we went trying to decide. I didn't want to go back to Nashville because I just didn't feel right there, and I ended up in Texas where I found my way. Texas was the home, but I never did much film stuff. Some of my music has ended up there, here and there in a little spot. I did that short little live spot on the Killing Fields with She's in the Bayou a few years ago. I think that was 2016, maybe 2017, 2018.
It was back there.
It all blends together.
Yeah, and just looking back, I'm thinking like the first time I met Emmylou Harris and Raul Malo was on the same day. And it was on the film All the Pretty Horses. I worked on that film, All the Pretty Horses.
That's so cool.
And they both were singing on that film. And I didn't know Raul. And me and Raul, when I met him that time that I told you at the church, I recalled him back to that time. We didn't know each other. But that was the first time we ran into each other. So cool. Circles. On your music, what's the first piece that you created and put out on your records that you thought, okay, I can do this for a living? This is...
Well, I think I always felt that way, even if I wasn't good enough yet.
I feel that way.
Because I was so hyper focused from such a young age. I was writing music really young. I wrote poems really young. My first record, I'm grateful that I still have a lot of people that say they love the record, but I like it because it's part of the journey, and I always appreciate the whole journey.
Mm-hmm.
But, I feel like I wasn't developed in certain areas enough yet. I didn't like the Nashville production, and I didn't understand how to communicate. I didn't have enough understanding of being in the studio to get what I was hearing in my head and go there. And, so I always was, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm doing it. But I don't think, honestly, it was until I went to Texas and the whole world opened up and I was embraced there, which I'm so grateful for, especially because there weren't any other women besides Pauline Reese at the time we came up there together and doing what we were doing with country music and in the dance halls, like where all the men were doing. And I'm very grateful. And I have Dale Watson and Chris Wall, who recently left, crossed the other side,
right,
to thank for their embracing me and their, connecting me with people like, when Red Volkart got fired from Merle Haggard like 20 million times, because Merle always fires players a million times, and Dale called me. He's like, Red needs a gig, so Red Volkart was my guitar player.
There you go.
Uncle Ball, who played with Johnny Cash for 25 years.
Jeez.
Moved to, produce Graham Parsons. I mean, he's a legend. And when he moved to town, and Dale called me up again, it's like, Earl needs, I'm like, thanks for thinking that I'm
worthy,
good enough to play with these guys.
Wow.
And that they wanted to play with me when they could have played with anybody.
Right.
They went on the road with me, and I'm just so grateful for that. And that's when I think I really started, I'm still growing, I'm 55 and I'm still have a long way to go. I think we always grow as artists in different directions, but Texas was the awakening that I couldn't find in Nashville, because they weren't doing it that way in Nashville. It was the 90s, and it was Shania. They wanted me to be Shania Twain and dance around in a crop top.
Right.
And that wasn't who I was, but I didn't know what the alternative was. And then I got to Texas, and it was like, this is who I am.
You can be
this
you.
This is the alternative.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for the Stevie Ray Vaughan autobiography. It wasn't even country that got me to move to. That's the reason I moved to Texas, was this. I moved there sight unseen. I hadn't even been there.
Wow.
I rented an apartment 6 months sight unseen in South Austin. Yeah.
Whoa.
And so I spent the rest of my career going. I moved back to Nashville, back and forth several times, as you do through different things, and had some better experiences and some not so great, and some great, just like everyone. But Texas is just that. I recently moved back again.
Mm-hmm.
After being gone a long time, and there's just no place like Texas.
That's true. I moved from San Antonio to Albuquerque because of the film thing.
Yeah.
For independent artists like us.
Miss it? Do you miss Texas?
I do. I don't so much miss the weather in San Antonio, because I lived in Germany for a good 10 years, so I really like cold, cooler weather and all the seasons. And in San Antonio you have summer and Indian summer, basically. And
New Mexico is so wonderful. You live in Albuquerque?
I do, and I get to see that beautiful Sandia Mountain every day, and
yeah.
And
I spent quite a bit of time in Ruidoso.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful too.
Jemez Springs, if you know where Jemez Springs is.
I don't know.
Different areas. I say I lived places, but for the most part, I lived on the road, and I'd live in different towns for a few, But I love New Mexico. Love
it. It's pretty nice here, and they say it's high crime here, but I've been here for 5 years already, and it hasn't touched me personally. The homelessness, of course, is crazy around here, but all that's actually been going the opposite way in this last few months. I don't know, because we're having a bicentennial, I think, for the Route 66. And so they're planning something special next year. So I guess they're cleaning up the town or whatever. But yeah, I love it here, and I really really like it. So let's get back to you. Okay, songwriting wise, I'm a songwriter. I've been writing songs like you. Started with poems back when I was a kid. I started
Yeah.
reading really early. And a lot like you, we are a lot alike, more alike than I would have thought, and then sadly, because my mother's relationship and I was not uh, good at all. Let's just say. And so, as my getaway was reading, and I think the first novel I read was Exorcist, and I was like 10. And that got me hooked
Wow.
into those kind of Stephen King and all that stuff. I still to this day. And then I write like descriptive like him, and another author I admire a lot is David Eddings, and he's a sci-fi guy. And so I mix those two, and that's my style. And I've published 2 books and 2 novels that are out there. I don't even know where I was going with this.
Amazing.
Writing songs. So I've been writing songs for a long time too, and I have, good Lord, probably Michael and I together probably have 100 registered with BMI, 100 songs easily. And the
Good for
band,
you.
the band that we had, they knew about 10. So, and that thinking, when you're writing a song, when do you know when your song is done?
It varies. It varies. And it's so different for every writer. Every writer is different. For me, um, I will just, I can just sit down, and if it's there, it's there. It just kind of comes out, you know. I'm usually 95% of the time I'm a lyrics first
Me
person
too.
as a writer. Um, I'm definitely, most always, I still start out as a poem. A lot of times I'll throw up poems on Facebook. Every once in a while I'll throw up a little poem on Facebook, and then later on I'll turn that into a song, or it'll come back as a song.
Sure.
Um, it usually comes out really quick, or if it's like that, it'll work a little bit. But um, I can usually feel it. If it doesn't flow, I'm not one of those who will sit and work and work and work on a song. Like, if it's not flowing, it ain't for me.
Yeah.
That's just, and I know others who will work, 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 and they're incredible songwriters. That's just not how I do it. If it's flowing, it comes out, I'll pick it up later.
Exactly.
I'll let it go and pick it up later, and then have it come back. And then I'll get that little click. Like, okay, this is it. This is what I wanted to say. And when you're done, this one, probably never going to perform it live. I like it all right or whatever, but it was still meant to be written for whatever reason, even if nobody hears it.
Right.
And then there's others when you write it and you're like, man, this song is really going to reach people, or this one's fun, or because I go the gambit. I'll go into the deep, introspective, trying to have a message with it, and then I have those that are just fun and light. Not as many of those. I'm more of a
Serious writer.
deeper thinker. So
Same here.
yeah, and there's usually a deeper layer than going on, but um it just, you get that feeling, and it's like they all become your babies. And it's usually the last one I wrote is kind of my favorite, and if it's not my favorite right after I write
There's
it, I
something
know it's
wrong.
going to be one of those that, no, no,
Yeah.
you know
Um, I wish I had an outlet to. I'm learning to. I got to find a place to get some of these songs. Because I'm still writing songs, and I have no band or anybody to. Michael's in California doing his own thing now. But I still have I still write songs. I still have the urge to write songs, and so I'm doing this now. It takes up a lot of time, but there's a couple of bands that have been after a rhythm guitarist, which is what I do. And they're like, well, if you're, I told them, well, maybe in October I'll have enough in the can where I can take a few days a week and practice with you guys. But right now I'm recording these, and I have all the way up to through January right now for these recordings. So I really wish I could get some of these songs out, and especially like you're saying, the new ones. I'm in a Nashville
yeah,
contest right now too with one of my
put
songs.
put the word out in your area, and for me, sometimes you might be surprised who you might find and who you can click with.
Yeah, yeah. I'm in a thing called Band Mix, I think it is. So it's exactly that. You can put bands together there. Um, but as a songwriter, like I need to figure out how you guys, like Stephanie or Bina Jones is another one who went to Nashville and sold songs and stuff. But that's, I guess it's just a connection or how you get into selling songs.
It's so different now, David. The industry's changing right now so much, and there's all this unfortunate AI stuff happening, which
Yeah.
is completely a detriment and not authentic. Um, and I think people are going to figure it out. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me in the last like 2 to 3 months
Mm-hmm.
with songs they people I don't know. You know, I get people I don't know all the time will send me messages about stuff, and or a friend of mine will give somebody my number, you know, that kind of thing, and they've written a song with AI and they want me to help them get it somewhere. And I'm like, well, you obviously
No.
don't know who you're talking to because I'm an
What?
advocate for authenticity and you know, and I mean, no, you. And they're like, no, it's original. I'm like, no, it's not. Just like AI is a co-writer. Well, I gave him the idea, and it took me 3 hours, and I had to. No, you
Three
did
hours.
not write the song. You did not. You know, and then they give it to these programs where people, you know, are singing them and stuff, and it's like you can't let they really believe they wrote this song,
Yeah,
and I'm
no.
like, no, you did not write it. You
No.
did not, even if you think you did, you know, and it's really challenging because the real connection coming through a soul, from a person, from a soul that is putting their energy into something, that's what can reach people. You know, that is an energy thing, that's a frequency thing, and it resonates and it helps wake people up, it helps lift, you know, lift your consciousness and connect and help heal people. I mean, you know, um, but people are going to figure it out. It's going to have the opposite effect, I think. You know, I mean, people are going to do what they're going to do, and I shouldn't judge. You know, but when it comes to music,
And authenticity.
you got to be real.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
got to be real, baby. You got to be real from your heart. I would rather than don't. You know, if you you know just if you want to write words, but even if you think they don't rhyme or whatever, they might be better than you think they are. You
mm-hmm.
know, I love anybody. I believe anybody can write. I believe anybody can write. Everybody writes different, but it's just a matter of connecting with yourself
Yep.
and getting it out there. You know.
And AI, how are you supposed to, like I was telling you about the feeling I had almost crying, listening to my song being played and the response. How are you going to get that response if it's AI? You're never going
Yeah.
to feel that,
Yeah.
you know? Um, yeah, that's
There
pretty.
will always, David, no matter what, there will always be real artists in the world.
Yep.
There will always be real writers in the world. There will always be, you know, all of, you know, painters and, you know, there will always be art in the world, always.
I think what
Because
helps,
it's a spiritual thing.
it really is. It really is. I think what helps with
Yeah.
my songwriting is I'm a writer in general, a novelist, a screenwriter, and especially being a screenwriter has helped me to write songs, to tell a story in, you know, four stanzas instead of, 80 pages. Um, it's pretty neat. It's very fulfilling. Anyways, so part of your passion thing, is there something in your library of music that you wish more people knew about?
I do. I had I had an album that it just ended up on a collection due to some contractual stuff, and then I got it, and it didn't get released individual. But my favorite album, and I might try to figure out something down the line, but it is, you know, it's out there. It's on iTunes. But my favorite album that I've done was called Thunder, and it um, was produced by Richie Albright, who had been Waylon's longtime drummer and producer, and I think it's some of my best work. You know, it was definitely coming from such a soulful. I was so inspired
Right.
to be mentored by him and working with him, and he ended up being my band leader and worked with me for a few years. That's before, and then we did Spirit of the Outlaws, and then from there, but um, I love those songs, and I need to play them more. I think that's back in 2007 that I released that album. 2008. I'm sorry, 2008. So how many years ago now?
That was the same year we released our first album in 2008, I think, 2009.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's so. What about a reissue? Maybe reissue it.
Yeah. I might do that next year. I don't know if you know this or not, but from 2019 until last year, I was out of pocket due to health reasons,
Right.
and um, I pretty much died. I mean, it was I don't even know how to describe it, but I went the all natural route, and I'm so grateful to be here. And so I came back. I didn't want to start another radio show or anything
Right.
again until I knew I could commit to it. So when I knew I was better well enough, and then I've been playing again, of course, and now I'm back, which I'm so grateful for. But so I hadn't, I'm just now kind of getting back in. I'm working on a really exciting project
Oh, fun.
coming up, but I'm real passionate about. So I think that maybe next year that would be a good idea. Maybe a reissue, David.
Yeah.
Of Thunder. But I also like to move forward. Feel like a different person. Like we're all different people. We all change and we grow, and I'm excited to connect with people where I'm at right now
Yep.
and what I've got to say right now. I'm older. You know, Hopefully I'm learning more. We continue to learn every day.
Every
And
day.
I'm working on a really exciting project with several other uh, women aged from the ages of 18 to in their 70s.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
working on this project, and I haven't told anybody about it, but I'll tell you.
Uh oh. We get an
Um,
exclusive.
it's Women of the Wild West. I'm sorry, Wild Women of the West.
Uh huh.
And it's songs about women of the West, but it's also covering. Um, I'm working with. We've got all angles from women, all age groups, and then I'm working with a Native American Grammy Award winner.
Oh.
I'm writing with her. I'm working with a Mexican American for her viewpoint. I'm working with, a amazing black singer, that's won a lot of Grammys and different things, uh, and so we want to cover women of all races and all ages, but we've got some fun songs on it too. It's about women of the West, some of the outlaw women, but also some of the experiences, and it's just it's came inspired about. First, I wrote a song about Calamity Jane. It's called The Ballad of Martha Jane Canary,
Hmm.
and then I had written this poem about um, you know a woman that it just anyway. I'm getting off the subject, but I'm just really excited about it, and it is not public knowledge.
Well,
So,
that sounds like it's gonna be
but we're in
amazing.
the process of writing songs and getting to write with all these women, and the album is just gonna, and I'm recording it probably at Willie's studio where I've done a lot of my records,
Right.
and I love it there. And so, um, and so far as of yet, I'm, I'm, we haven't recorded yet. We're just writing. Um, I'm looking for a co-producer. I don't want to produce it solely myself because I love another person's. I need another person's. I think it's best, especially when you're the artist in it, to have another person there to give you insight and perspective
Hmm.
as to what you're missing. Sorry about the ambulance
Well, that's
right
fine.
by.
I thought it
I
was
don't know
here.
if you can hear that.
I thought it was here.
Um, and that's the thing about, working, co-producing with somebody. You still have kind of creative control, but you've also got the input and the knowledge of somebody else who can bring something to the table that you can't, and
Yeah,
make it that much better.
bounce off of somebody else. Um, well,
So I know the right person's going to show up. Like I, that's how I operate. I kind of align with that energy, and I know that whoever's meant to it'll appear right when it's supposed to. If I try to force the issue, all goes haywire.
right, right, right. I was gonna say Michael would have been great. He's produced a couple of other records for other bands, but he's in California now, so I guess you could do it digitally, audio. But yeah, Michael would have been a good idea. But bring that perspective to your show. Anyways, um, so we're getting. I know we're closing to our hour here. My last question would be something about legacy. We started about talking legacy, and when did you realize the word legacy, and what does it mean to you now?
You know, in what way, David? Like, what do you mean?
Like, when did you
What is it?
realize
What is the word legacy?
to you,
Yeah.
and what does it
Um.
mean now?
Well, I hope my legacy is love.
Nice.
Um. Personally, and music. But to me, music and love are kind of simultaneous. But I think that you know, I'm getting older. I'm 55,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been at it a long time. I've done a lot of different things. I made a lot of mistakes, a lot over the years, and I learned from them. Sometimes,
Yeah, sometimes.
some I had to learn a couple. I had to learn a couple times,
I understand.
But I think that you know the last Honky Tonk Music series
Mm-hmm.
um, was, and it was not just me. That was all of us that were involved in that, um, and that did a lot. That changed a lot of lives. It did a lot, and it was a result of the culmination of so many people, from radio people that got behind it, and venues that got behind it, and the people, everyday people that supported it, that they were the ones that made it. I
Right.
mean, they were the ones that made it. And of course, Scott Green and Dat Sauce. I mean, he was my partner in so many of the things that we did in the music, the songwriter festivals and whatnot. But the whole message was, our message was light up the world with music
Yeah.
and authenticity, and bringing original music to places that hadn't heard it before.
Yep.
And it was love in everything, because it was a labor of love. There was no money in it. In fact, I put all the money I had into it, as did a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, to me, legacy is your work that you've done, your bodies of work that you've done, but more importantly, how you loved, and how much love you put into everything. And I think that's what carries it. And it doesn't matter who knows what about you. It doesn't matter. I've done a lot of stuff under the radar. I was actually kind of surprised that you reached out to me, because I've kind of kept a lot of the things I've done on the radar, and you seem to know almost all of them. I was like, okay.
We've been following you for a while.
Because and that means a lot to me. So thank you, David.
Of course.
But I think that I did that to kind of protect what what we were doing at the time,
Sure.
because so much energy comes at you. Especially, I got a lot of flack in Nashville, especially when I did Spirit of the Outlaws,
Mm.
which was with the Waylon guys, and we did it down at Tuglass Corner in Nashville. We had full bands, and we had guest artists from all over. I was up there on stage saying, "You don't need a record deal," and people from Warner Brothers were coming in there saying, "You can't be saying this in Nashville. You're going to be blackballed." And like, what do I care? I still have people coming to the shows. It doesn't matter, you know.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to sell millions of records. I'm just trying to have a good time and play good music and have my friends play good music and bring that out there. Show people that there's all this music that isn't on the radio.
Exactly.
You know? And so I don't know. I think it's important to follow your soul and your heart with everything you do, and people will find it that are meant to find it. You found me, didn't you?
And people are finding this podcast. I can't say I'm surprised because, of course, I went into this thinking that people would respond. But when you get the response, you're like, wow, okay. Like our first pod dropped September 18th, and I got our stats for the month, and we had 2 drop that month, I think. So from September 18th through the end of the month. And we had like 69 downloads and 53 streams. I'm like, I had no idea, you know, that's for a first time, no really big corporate push.
First time and just dropping it out there. That's awesome, David.
I was I don't want to say I'm surprised, but, you know, I was surprised that it responded that well. And, you know, I just picked up another sponsor in New Mexico, so it's a cannabis store. So they're going to sponsor a segment that I'm going to start doing once we sign that contract, which should be this week.
Well, you do it with such integrity, and you do it with such honor for the arts, and you know, because you're an artist yourself, you're a writer yourself, producer, many other things. But I mean, you do it with that energy, and people will respond to that. You know,
it's been like you. There's been great responses from our guests, and you know, there's so many more. This week I got 6 interviews this week, and that's a lot. And then you got to edit all this stuff. But like this week, Alan Huff is coming on. You know, he's
that's awesome, Dave.
Fabulous musician.
Right on.
And then Chris Duarte later in the week, we got him coming on, and the others are.
Oh, I love Chris.
Oh, he's such a good guy. I interviewed him like a way long time ago in 2009, probably, when I was doing a music column. And the same with Stephanie Urbina Jones. I interviewed her when she was doing, you know, 2 and 3 gigs a day just to make money for rent. And now she's a Grand Ole Opry girl, star. But I just wanted to again thank you for coming on and for spending some time with us and letting us know what is behind Bridgette London. And I can't wait to. Are you staying in Florida or you're back in Texas now?
I'm still in Florida. I have one more week. We've got a big week on the beach for the Pensacola Beach Songwriter Festival. Okay. And so I've got lots of shows. We've still got community outreach that we're doing this week with like nonprofit groups where we go in and write songs with kids, and it's really cool. And then I'll be back in Texas, and I want to invite you to make a trip to Texas on March 28th. I have an annual event now in Luckenbach called Bridgette London's Angels and Outlaws Festival, and it's on March 28th, and it is such a wonderful time. Incredible guests all day long, and we have a killer band, and it's just a great show. Would love for you to come.
I would love to come.
I think you would love it.
I would love to come, and we can't.
And that's in Luckenbach, Texas.
Yeah, Willie, Waylon, and the boys. I will definitely. I'm gonna have to go back to Texas, and we'll be in March. Sounds good to me. That's probably perfect weather.
Let me know when you come to town.
I will.
You know, any of the towns, they're all within an hour of each other, you know?
Right.
Or 2.
If you ever get up here in New Mexico playing...
I'm living in New Braunfels now.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever get up to New Mexico playing, let me know. And we'll...
I will. I might be doing a festival up there in May.
Okay. We'll definitely keep in touch.
If it works out schedule-wise, I'm not sure yet.
Fantastic. Well, I don't want to take up any more time. Get some rest. Get ready for your show. And thank
Thank
you.
you for everything.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Much love, babe.
Take care. Much love.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.